Welcome to Stars and Spells, where we're going to dive deep into astrology, rituals, and magic. And I'm so excited that you've joined us because we are going to be producing these really cool videos. And I'm doing it with my dear brother, Jim, where we're combining our areas of expertise, knowledge, and passion to help people live fulfilling big quality, amazing lives. And we're going to bring you as much information as we can every single month. And so, hello, my name is Tahverlee. I'm a high priestess, a practicing witch, an author, and the founder of the Moon Temple Mystery School.
And I'm Jim Seymour, founder of Starduster Services. I'm a life coach, consultant, and astrologer.
I think one of my most exciting things about doing this together, Jim, is getting to spend a lot of time with you.
Yeah, we have a great simpatico.
We do. And you are so knowledgeable about what's happening in the sky and how it really boils down to impacting our lives. And I know I've sent many people to you to have readings, and I've had readings with you. And really there's so much information. And I think that that's sometimes the problem people have with understanding astrology is, can you simplify it down and tell me what that means for me? And I also know that you have a good resource that we can send people to download their own birth chart. And we'll put those in the show notes. And I'm going to pass it to you for a minute to talk about like why this is important to you. But I'll share from my perspective, one thing that I think is really important in a lot of the channels that I host and content that I create is to talk about the energy of what's happening in the moment. Because in a lot of rituals and spells, people focus on it just being the full moon or just being the new moon or not having the energy and feel like, oh, I should be doing something because it's the full moon. And I think that if we discount what's happening in our energy field, we miss the opportunity to acknowledge that maybe now's not the right time, or maybe it's a green light season, or maybe it's a red light season, or maybe it's a season to just go sit down and have a rest. And that's what that's something that I'm really passionate about. And that makes me excited to bring us together in these conversations where we can combine those two pieces of importance. And so, how does it feel for you to be putting this together and jumping on?
It's uncharted territory for me. I'm kind of a late bloomer when it comes to social media and technology. I'm self-taught as an astrologer, although I've been blessed over the years to study with many master astrologers. Astrology isn't just something that's happening out there in the solar system or in the cosmos. This is a holographic universe. As above, so below, as without, so within. And so astrology isn't something you believe. Astrology isn't something that's actually correlated with the motions of the planets. It's all happening simultaneously because the archetypal energies of the planets are actually within us. And so it boils down to, where are we on our eternal journeys of conscious evolution? Because there's just a series of potentials all the time. And based on the level of a person's conscious evolution and the amount of inner work that they've done on themselves, they will be able to surf these potentials to higher and higher levels of manifestation.
Wow, like I'm mesmerized already. I'm just sitting back thinking, oh, this is going to be so good. Surf the levels. And I love that you address that as above, so below. That that what's happening elsewhere is also happening inward as well.
Yes, it's holographic, it's holistic. In the parts, you can find the whole, and in the whole, you can find the sum of the parts. One of my mentors used to say, things equal to the same thing are equal to each other. And so there's this harmonic resonance. There's this, we talk in terms of energy. We talk in terms of frequency and vibrations and the music of the spheres. And if you study the ratios of the distances of the planets from the sun, they match the distances of the vital organs in the human body and also the notes of the musical scale. And so astrology is a powerful language. It's a symbolic language, like mathematics, like Egyptian hieroglyphics, like Sanskrit. These ancient symbolic languages are all, like I say, they're holographic, they're holistic, and everything can be found in the part that's in the whole and vice versa. So it's really a quantum metaphysical, you could say, academic discipline. It's an intuitive art. Many people in the world consider astrology one of the great esoteric sciences. So there's many ways to describe it, and there's many ways to try to explain how it works. But all I know is it works.
And so, all you beautiful humans that are listening, now you understand what you are in for in this show called Stars and Spells. Now, Jim, we're going to stop so we can let people know this is the time, this is what this is all about, so they can find whatever month it is that they are finding themselves in. Tell people where they can find you in the meantime.
Starduster Services is the name of my business. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. And I also have a YouTube channel, which I'm slowly populating with videos.
I love it. So make sure you check the show notes for everything related to Jim. And if you want more information on Mystery School and how to reach me, you can go to moontempleschool.com, or with a name like Tahverlee, you can pretty much type it into any social platform and you will find me. All right. So, Jim, we're going to wish everybody. Oh, yes, please.
I forgot. I also have a website. Talk about being a late bloomer. www.stardusterservices.com.
Stardusterservices.com. I was going to put that in the show notes for you, my friend. Anyway, but yes, check out Jim's site, check out my site, and then come find us in whatever month you find yourself in, and we will see you then. Welcome to Stars and Spells, where we are studying and combining astrology and magic. And I'm really excited to be here to talk to you about what's happening in the month of May 2025. My name is Tahverlee. I'm a high priestess, an author, a practicing witch, and the founder of Moon Temple Mystery School. And I am joined by my beautiful co-host, Jim.
Hey everyone, I'm Jim Seymour. I'm an astrologer, a life coach, and a writer at Starduster Services.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jim. I'm excited for us to dive into what's happening in May. But first, I want to ask you, let's slowly find our way into the weaving of what we're going to talk about today. So I wanted to ask you, how are you feeling? How's your body feeling in terms of being turning from a seed and starting to explore roots sort of upwards towards the sun, which is what's happening in nature?
I am going into uncharted territory in my life. So I feel this kind of excitement, the joy of discovery, and feeling the fear and doing it anyway, man. It's like with Venus and Neptune conjunct today in Aries. It's all about courage, and that comes from the heart.
And of course, I just shared something with you before we recorded, but we're not going to talk about it today. We'll talk about it another time, that is requiring a lot of courage of me. It's like I'm breaking through different levels of the surface of the earth as the seed. Like the seed has been planted, watered, fertilized, and now it's like, oh, you're just going to blast through. And I'm like, oh, do I really want to do
that? Yeah, I have an Aries rising, and so Mars is my chart ruler, so I can use all the help I can get these days. Everything's moving really fast in the world, and there's no time to look back. We just have to just keep moving forward.
Yeah, I like that. So let's dive into May. I feel like we're already starting to talk about it. So I'm going to pass it to you and give us an overview of what's ahead. And I know this show is coming out in May, so we're kind of already in May, but we would love to hear.
Yeah. So I jotted down some notes of some of the major things that are happening. So Mars right now is finally out of the shadow zone of retrograde. Mars had a long retrograde cycle where he stopped in Leo and he made an ingress back into Cancer where we examined, the home and feeling secure and issues around the homeland, nationalism, patriotism, all these things. And now Mars has cleared the shadow zone of retrograde and is steaming forward full speed in Leo. Today, Venus and Neptune are conjunct for the first time in the sign of Aries, because just recently Neptune made an ingress into Aries for the first time in 160 something years. Literally, the last time Neptune entered Aries was within one day of the beginning of the Civil War. So this gives you an idea of how long it takes Neptune to go around the zodiac. So the month of May is a little bit quieter than April. April was nuts, but May, because there was a new moon in Taurus towards the end of April, there is a stable, fixed earth sign Taurian energy that's kind of grounding us a little bit more so we can slow down and smell the roses a little bit. On the 4th of May, Pluto will station retrograde in Aquarius. And so until October 13th, this intense modern ruler of Scorpio will be slowly backtracking in the first few degrees of Aquarius. And Pluto is the planet of transformation, of deep, catalytic, inner world experiences where we drop down the rabbit hole and reinvent ourselves in some profound way. Pluto is often associated with alchemy, so we can heal and we can transmute trauma into possibilities, right? Into wisdom. On the 5th of May, Cinco de Mayo, Mercury will be sextiling Jupiter from Aries to where Jupiter now transits in Gemini. And Jupiter himself, who is known in Vedic astrology as Brihaspati, the guru, Jupiter is now clearing the retrograde shadow that he's been in for many months as well. And so when Mercury and Jupiter form a helpful, friendly 60-degree sextile from Aries to Gemini, it's empowered conversations, knowledge coming to us that allows us to decipher our own inner wisdom distinct from the background chatter of distractions in the material world. Also, on the 6th of May, Venus will sextile Pluto from Aries to Aquarius, and Mercury will conjunct Chiron, the wounded healer, in Aries. So this is deepening our bonds of relationships, and also words of healing and words of wounding are both potentials. So again, going back to that intro, depending on a person's level of conscious evolution, they will tend to be vibrating in the higher octave of the healing vibrations or down in the lower octave of the wounding vibrations. On the 12th of May, we have a full moon in Scorpio at 22 degrees, and it's conjunct Juno, the commitment asteroid, and it makes a 120-degree trine to the north node of destiny. So this is reestablishing our intimacy with ourself and our higher power, between ourselves and the divine, also with our significant business partners, with our significant others in romantic relationships, etc. Juno is sometimes referred to as the marriage asteroid. But for people who are single, I like to reframe that as the commitment asteroid. So again, deep connections and communications and deepening our commitments and moving forward in a joining aspect, because that trine to the North Node is the point in the sky which chalks out mass karma and destiny. On the 15th of May, the sun will form a 60-degree sextile to that same North Node. So there will be some fated connections, joining with like-minded souls and deeper spiritual bonds. On the 17th of May, the sun will make its yearly conjunction to Uranus, who is now in the final degrees of Taurus. So Taurus is the sign of the banking system and finance and economics, our deepest values and our tools and resources. So there could be some unpredictable market fluctuations on that day, some progressive agendas, maybe even some supply chain disruptions in the world. with the Sun and Uranus together. But this is a new synodic cycle of the solar Sun and Uranus, who's the awakener planet. The job of Uranus is to shake us out of lethargy and complacency and to crack us open out of our old stale and stagnant routines and open us up to that divine inflow, that out of the blue inspiration and realizations that we can get. On May 18th, Jupiter in Gemini will form a 90-degree square to the Pisces nodes. Okay, this north node in Pisces and the south node in Virgo. And so there could be a sudden change of heart. There could be feeling out of sorts with like ethics and morals, because Jupiter is the planet of wisdom, ethics, and morals, and our higher values. And the North Node is the prevailing trends that are now current in the world. And so with Jupiter forming this hard 90-degree square to the nodes of fate or the nodes of destiny, there could be this sudden change of heart or a sea change in the world, both within us and in the collective. On May 25th, Saturn will finally leave Pisces and ingress into Aries for the first time since April of 1996. So this means finding ourselves at odds over philosophies, embracing discipline, okay, embracing challenges with courage, and pursuing our ideals in a more structured and contained manner. Again, Saturn is the planet of containment, of form, of structure, of self-discipline, and self-mastery. And so now that Saturn is finally leaving the mutable water sign of Pisces and ingressing into the cardinal fire sign of Aries, it's about bringing all that research that we've been doing and putting it into practice. And Saturn will be in Aries for a few months, and then he's going to slowly retrograde back into Pisces again. So we're not over yet, but now we're going to get a taste for the first time in about 30 years of what it feels like to have Saturn in Aries. And of course, on May 26th, the very next day, we have a new moon at 6 degrees of Gemini. And in that new moon chart, Mercury, the planet of communication, thinking, logic, analysis, and communications and commerce, will be trining Pluto in Aquarius. So this could herald new beginnings in our communications with our business partners and our clientele, deeper connections, and of course, transformational group affiliations. And finally, to wrap up the month, from May 29th and 30th, Mercury will conjunct the Sun in Gemini. So Mercury crosses the Sun about 3 times a year. And this is usually a time when there's really important announcements coming forth in the collective. Also, Mercury acts as an amplifier for that solar energy. And so it's a good time for self-care, because with Mercury and the Sun together in the talkative, communicative sign of Gemini, which Mercury rules, we could get like frayed wiring. We could become burnout. We could become frazzled. So it's a good time to slow down at the end of the month. And finally, Venus will conjunct Chiron in Aries from the 31st of May to June 1st. And this is taking inspired, courageous action in healing our bodies, in healing our identities in the world, because Aries has a lot to do with identity. The key phrase for Aries is I am. So you can fill in the blank. I am what? I am who? And this is a time for a lot of us to up-level our identities more in alignment, more in congruence with our actual spiritual identities. So it's a time for authentic values. It's a time for leadership. And it's a time for new directions in finances as well. So there's just a quick blip on the astro weather of May.
That is so amazing. Thank you. When in reading through some of the notes on what you've shared, it's interesting because at the beginning, when you say May, quieter month, and then we look at the whole perspective, it feels like there's a lot of opportunity to be inward and focus on communication and self. And quiet doesn't mean that you're not doing anything. Quiet just might mean that there's not so many big explosions in your energetic field. Like that's how I felt you were describing the month. Is that right?
Yeah, because of that new moon in Taurus and with the sun transiting through Taurus, um, when the sun transits the sign of Taurus every year, it's a stable, dependable, fixed earth energy, Taurus. So it's not that fiery Aries
Mm.
energy. And it's, that new moon that we're going to have coming up in Gemini, that's when things are going to speed up again because Gemini is the mutable air sign. But whenever the sun is going through Taurus, it's a time to slow down, get barefoot, get bare feet on the ground, sit by the water, put your feet in the mud, just get grounded. Because after that Aries season of the sun going through Aries, it's like, whew, we're afraid and tattered. We need to slow down and just kind of like recalibrate and recenter ourselves and get grounded.
So I love that cycle. So a couple of rituals and suggestions I have for people to work on from the beginning of May through to the 15th. I know that the full moon is on the 12th, but through to the 15th, where we're kind of getting cracked open, is I suggest people make sure that they've done all of their like spring reset, because that will help you handle feeling less frayed by the end of the month. Clean your space, organize your space. A couple of plant allies I suggest people work with is nettle and dandelion this month, because it really helps you ground into your body. It's stabilizing, and it's also going to clear out sort of any old little bits from the winter. It's like nettle will be a good purifier for your body of any toxins you're carrying, well, from this year so far, or still from the winter season. And I always recommend, I mean, we usually start spring cleaning, closer in like March and April, but usually what happens is by May, if we haven't done it, we feel like we shouldn't do it. And so energetically, I encourage you to, go through each closet in your home, go through your rooms, get rid of old stagnant things, like actually physically clean it. And then if you're so inclined, I recommend using an incense charcoal and whatever, specialized kind of incense you might use, but get an actual incense charcoal and make your own incense and take it through your whole home. We call it smoke clearing. If you do that after you've cleaned, and I feel like the right time to do that is, before the 12th to the 15th, somewhere in there, get it done by then. And then I recommend between the full moon and the new moon is go out into nature and find 5 to 7 native plants in the area that you live in, and bring a piece of them into your home. So when we need that grounding and stabilizing energy at the end of the month, you've already connected to the way that nature is growing in your lands. Because a lot of times people think, oh, I want to work with this plant ally or this herb or this flower or this thing. But really, we want to work with what, where we reside, what's connected to where we reside, like what's native to, where we're at in the moment. And I know a lot of us travel in May and June, and a beautiful way to connect to the spirit of the lands that you're on is to find 5 to 10. Now there's lots of like free apps, or there's research you can do to find out if there's something that you don't know what it is, but find a little piece of it. Ask the plant, may I take a couple of your leaves indoors to get to know you better, and listen to what your body says. It will say yes or no, and then offer something in return to the plant. Some of the most beautiful things you can do is give it a breath. Give it a drink of your water and bring a little bit inside. And of course, if anything is blooming early this time of year, finding 1 or 2 of those blooms to bring in will really help support that kind of that more fiery energy that's coming at the end of the month. And then lastly, I do recommend, especially based upon what Jim has just shared, that for the new moon, which is on the 26th, that you revisit your current I am statement. Now, if you're not a practicing witch or a spiritual person and you don't know what that is, it's basically just creating an anchoring visionary statement or a value statement or a declaration of who you are in that moment. And with the high priest and the high priestess class that we teach, we teach people how to create I am statements each month. And then at the end of the program, they, combine them to have one power statement. But the thing is we want those to be fluid, because we're changing. And one of the most interesting rituals that, we teach is, and I'm going to share it with everyone now, is it's called I am. And what you say is, my name is not I was, my name is not I will be, my name is I am. So we release the need to be something that we were, or be something we think we're going to be in the future. And those little statements, you can use that ritual often and it clears your field. Like it releases energetic attachments. Now, I do it with like my hands on my lower belly, and I bring my hands up to the sky. So I bring my hands on my lower belly and I say, my name is not I was, my name is not I will be, my name is I am. And I just bring my hands up and I just receive the fact that I am. And then a further step to that would be then to really focus on creating an I am statement that feels good to you this month, today, now, and here, and let it be. So, what I think I might use for something in May for the new moon, as an example, could be I am open to bloom as magically as every flower on this planet.
Mm.
Like, that's an example of an I am. It's big and broad. It's rooted, it's real. I felt it in my body, and that's for me. There's lots of ways to do it. So that's what I would add for May rituals.
I love how you ground and solidify the realm I deal with, which is the planets and the constellations, and you bring it down to earth for hands-on practical applications. I love that.
This is why we're such a good team for this show.
It's like as above, so below.
Here we are. Stars and spells, ladies and gentlemen. Here you are in Stars and Spells. All right, Jim. Well, I think that wraps it up. Is there anything else you want people to know about May?
Um, just that self-care is not selfishness, that it's absolutely essential, especially in these rapidly changing and globally transformational times.
Yes, good message. Wonderful. All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. You should make sure you subscribe to this channel, leave us a comment, and check back. We're going to be producing these for you every month. They'll slowly start to come out a little bit ahead of the month. So you'll be able to put some of these things into practice before the month starts. And for anything related to Jim, if you want an amazing reading, and I feel like when you have a reading with Jim, you are literally being read your own soul code that you didn't even know about yourself, but it's so amazing. You can go to stardusterservices.com, and all of Jim's links are in the description. And if you want to do anything in Mystery School with me with rituals or any spell work, that's moontempleschool.com. And right now I'm have reopened enrollment into Witch School. So you can find that in the Witch Shop on my website as well. It's a monthly place where we have lots of chats and do lots of magic. So Jim, final words of the day.
Be yourself. You're the only one qualified. And besides, everyone else is already taken.
Boom. We'll be back.